Welcome to another explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to look at something we interact with every single day, but we rarely take the time to actually deconstruct it. We're talking about writing. Now, right off the bat, I want you to completely throw away the idea that great writing is just some mystical talent that randomly strikes from the clouds. Instead, think of it like an architectural blueprint. Crafting an effective piece of writing is exactly like designing a building. You need a distinct style, a clear utility, and a rock-solid structural foundation. Today, we're going to map out that exact blueprint.
Okay, let's dive into this. If we look past all the grammar and the vocabulary, we really have to ask ourselves a fundamental question. What makes writing actually work? Why do some texts totally hold our attention from start to finish, while others leave us completely lost? Well, the answer lies in mastering the core mechanics of the craft. It's the invisible scaffolding that holds every single word in place.
So, here's our syllabus for today. First, the blueprint of writing. Second, the two great genres. Third, your purpose for writing. And fourth, structuring your work. We're going to completely demystify writing by breaking it down into these foundational building blocks.
Let's start with part 1, the two great genres.
If we are the architects here, genre is the overarching hemisphere where we're building. It dictates the entire style, the literal rules of gravity, and the materials we're allowed to use. In the world of writing, we basically have two massive continents. First, there's fiction, which relies almost entirely on the boundless limits of the imagination to conjure up imaginary events and people. And second, there's nonfiction, which assumes a strict responsibility to factual reality and informative truth.
Let's zoom in on that first hemisphere. Fiction is any narrative derived from the imagination, often written in prose, describing imaginary events and people rather than strict history or fact. And this brilliantly illustrates how fiction serves as a pure playground for the imagination. When you're writing fiction, you are not bound by what actually happened. You are only bound by what you can make your reader believe could happen within the world you've created. Whether that's a late-night coffee shop in Paris or a futuristic spaceship orbiting Mars, your only limit is believability.
And within that massive playground, we have some incredible subgenres. You have fantasy, where you can build entirely different worlds filled with magic. Or you might shift to a lighter tone for a comedy, purposefully crafting whimsical, humorous situations simply to induce laughter. Then there's science fiction, where you transport us to the future, basing your narrative on imagined, cutting-edge science. If you prefer a darker, hushed suspense, well, you can write a mystery, strategically dropping little clues until the crime is finally solved. Or you can plunge your protagonist into high-stakes danger in an adventure, forcing them to use their wits just to survive. But now we absolutely must pivot to the other side of the map, nonfiction. This is prose writing where the creator assumes responsibility in good faith for the truth and accuracy of the events, people, or information presented. You're no longer playing in the imagination here. You are anchored firmly and resolutely in factual reality.
Because nonfiction is rooted in that factual reality, it literally runs our society. It's the essays that challenge our perspectives and present incredibly compelling arguments. It's the reports and memos that keep companies functioning smoothly, distributing crucial data across corporate departments every single day. It's biographies, preserving the true history of real people's lives for future generations. And, of course, it's the daily news, specifically written to keep us informed and educated on the current issues shaping our world.
Moving on to part 2, your purpose for writing. The big question here is, why are you writing this?
Before you lay down a single brick, you have to ask yourself what the actual utility of this building is. Broadly speaking, there are 3 primary purposes you can have. First, to inform. Your goal here is purely to enlighten the reader or provide direct information. Think of expository essays, step-by-step instructions, or encyclopedias. Second, to persuade. Your goal is to convince the reader to agree with you, which is the driving force behind advertisements or political campaign speeches. And third, to entertain. Your ultimate goal here is to amuse the reader and play with their emotions, which is exactly what songs, stories, and dramas are beautifully designed to do. That specific utility completely shapes your final product.
I really want to highlight persuasion for a moment, because it is arguably the most psychologically active purpose. When you write to persuade, your aim is to compel readers to take action, convince them of an idea through argument, or to reaffirm their existing beliefs. Notice the raw power in those verbs: compel, convince, reaffirm. Your purpose absolutely dictates the psychological journey you are taking your reader on.
Let's move to part 3 and see how this builds, structuring your work.
We have our genre, we have our purpose. Now we need the final architectural step, the formatting, the literal foundation, the walls, and the roof.
Almost all effective writing follows a highly methodical 1-2-3 progression. Step 1 is the introduction. This acts as the front door. It introduces the main idea, captures the reader's interest, and tells them right away why this topic is important. Step 2 is the body, the middle and arguably most important part. These paragraphs are the structural walls of your building, holding the actual weight of your information, your persuasion, or your story. And finally, step 3 is the conclusion. This is the roof. It summarizes the entire work, capping it off and making it a complete, structurally sound entity.
And there we have it: genre, purpose, and organization, the essential building blocks of writing. By viewing writing through this exact lens, we bring our architectural metaphor full circle. Writing isn't magic. It's simply a matter of choosing your genre, whether that's the imaginative playground of fiction or the factual reality of nonfiction. It's about knowing your purpose, whether you are informing, persuading, or entertaining, and it's about methodically organizing your thoughts into a clear introduction, body, and conclusion. Mastering these 3 elements demystifies the craft and completely empowers you to be an effective writer.
So, I leave you with this final thought. You now possess the architectural blueprint. You actually understand the invisible scaffolding that holds every great piece of writing together. The tools are right there in your hands. Now that you have the elements, what will you write next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep building, keep writing, and I'll catch you next time.